Hey everyone, what's going on? When you're diving, it's really important to be aware of your air, your buddy, your equipment, and your environment. But sometimes even when we know this, we still get distracted. And this is where situational awareness and mindfulness come into play. These two things really help us slow down, focus, be aware, and notice what's happening around you, not just underwater, but in everyday life as well. And when we put the two together, we become safer, calmer, and it tends to lead us to have more enjoyable dives. Fun little story, I remember when a buddy was so focused on taking a video of a sea turtle, she descended without even really realizing the depth that she was at. She looked up and she saw the rest of the divers were above her, and she noticed that she was about 75 to 80 feet and the other divers were about 60, maybe 65 feet. So she had an oh shoot moment, and then she started ascending. It was me. I was that diver. Was fixated on a sea turtle and I wanted to get video of it. I dropped down because I saw him down there and didn't realize that I was deeper than I thought I was. And I looked up and I saw the other divers above me and didn't realize that I was kind of down there by myself for a little bit before I started coming up. And this is why I want to talk to you about this today. You really do want to stay aware because you want to avoid small things that can turn into big things later on. So what is situational awareness? Well, it means to be alert, aware, and attentive to your surroundings. Situational awareness is your ability to notice what's happening around you, make sense of what's happening, and then anticipate what can possibly happen next. There's 3 levels or 3 parts to situational awareness. Level 1 is perception, level 2 is comprehension, and level 3 is projection. Also, subset of that would be take action. Level 1 being perception, this is when you're going to notice what's happening around you. You're kind of gathering data. You're going to ask yourself, where's my buddy? How's my air? What's the current like? Are there any dangerous marine life around me? You're physically looking around and you're just taking notice of what and where things are and where you are in the water. Level 2 is comprehension. Comprehension is basically understanding what those details from level 1 mean. So in level 1, when you ask yourself, where's my buddy? Comprehension is saying, oh, my buddy's about 15, 20 feet away from me. And what will this mean if something goes wrong? Will I be able to get to them in time, or vice versa? Will they be able to get to me in time if something happens? Or if the current picks up, if you notice that there's a current, comprehension is basically realizing, okay, the current picked up, I'm going to use more energy and more air because of the current. And level 3 is projection, and if needed, take action. If your buddy is farther away, say 20 feet, you should know that, you're going to have to swim faster to get to them if something were to happen, which will use more energy and use more air. So for level 3, if you realize all that, then your take action would be to be closer to your buddy, just in case anything were to happen. Or if the current picked up and you're going through more air, your buddy is in the same situation. They're going through that current as well. So taking action might be realizing, we might have to end the dive sooner because of the current and we're going to be low on air sooner than we had planned. Being on the same page with your buddy is really important. Oh, I forgot I had a visual. Wait a minute. I got to use my art skills somehow. So this is, I made this up. This is your situational awareness bubble. See? Okay. This is your situational awareness bubble, or SAB. So this is without situational awareness. There's your buddy, and I meant to draw them the same size, but that one's a lot smaller, so we're going to pretend she's deeper, which actually works out in this case. This is your little bubble, her bubble, and this is his bubble. That's a shark. So without situational awareness, you guys aren't near each other. He doesn't realize that there's a shark right over there. You guys aren't really aware of each other and where you guys are. With situational awareness, notice how you guys are closer. I tried to draw them the same size so they're closer to each other. The 2 divers are closer and they're overlapping. Each bubble is overlapping the other. And the shark's in there, so he's aware of the shark now. It's kind of just taking in the information and being aware of what's going on around you. I was really proud of that. I came up with that myself. But this will take practice. No, you're not going to spend your entire dive thinking about being aware. At first, yes, you'll consciously have to think, okay, where's my buddy? How's my air? Is there a current? If you're on a wreck, where are the hazards? You have to remember where the hazards are, things like that. But if you do this over time, it's going to start happening intuitively, and it's going to be kind of carved into your subconscious mind to do it without even thinking about it. In diving, situational awareness will keep you a lot safer. It also prevents surprises, like that example of the shark. Without situational awareness, he's probably going to have a really bad day. Now with situational awareness, he's aware that the shark is there, and he can take the necessary precautions, to not get bit and not get attacked by a shark. It's really just the difference between seeing things and really observing them. Now, let's talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness is paying attention to what's happening right now, being in the present moment with your thoughts, your body, and your surroundings, and doing this without judgment. It's the difference between hearing versus listening and seeing versus observing. You might see your gauge when you check your air, but if you're mindful, you're actually observing what those numbers mean and how they can affect your dive plan. This is why situational awareness and mindfulness go hand in hand. Mindfulness isn't about emptying your mind, but it's about being here now with your body, your breath, your surroundings in the present moment. And there's 4 areas of awareness with mindfulness. The first area is self-awareness, and this is where you really want to notice your breathing. Mindfulness teaches us to check in with our body. Are you calm? Are you feeling anxious? Are you really, really happy and excited right now? And slow, mindful breaths will help you conserve energy and air. The second thing is buddy awareness. Is your buddy close by? How do they look? Do they look happy? Do they look anxious? Do they look hesitant? If you're diving a shipwreck and you look at your buddy and they look kind of hesitant to go into the wreck, then something's off and they might not be feeling 100% at that point, which is actually what happened to me on the Vickery this past weekend. That episode will be next week. Stay tuned for that. But being mindfulness with your buddy will help you be present enough to notice subtle cues in their body language. The third thing is equipment awareness. You want to check your gauges regularly, but you want to do it mindfully. You don't just want to see how much air you have in your tank. You want to kind of process how much air is in there and how it will affect the rest of your dive. For example, if you're at 110 feet and you have like almost 1100 psi left, it would be a good idea to start ascending at that moment. And the fourth thing being environmental awareness. You want to be aware of the reef, the current, the visibility, any marine life in the area, and marine life behavior. And this goes back to one of my episodes where I talked about marine life. If you know you're going to a certain location and you've heard talk that you're definitely going to see sharks on this dive site, find out what kind of sharks you're going to see and just do some research about them. Moray eels, find out what their aggressive behavior is like, just so you're aware. If they show any kind of aggressive behavior, at that point to back away. But even the smaller kinds of fish, like lionfish, you want to make sure to stay away from those. Any kind of poisonous or any type of marine life that can hurt you. Common mistakes. There's always common mistakes, but there's also always room for improvement of situational awareness and mindfulness. But we'll get to the common mistakes first, and then we'll go on to ways to help you improve in those areas. The first thing being tunnel vision. And this is basically focusing on a camera or a fish only. I had the perfect example of getting fixated on a sea turtle and wanting to take video of it and descending without even realizing that I left everybody that I was with just to get video of the sea turtle. And it's just one of those examples where, you want to be aware of what's going on. And I was only aware and focused on the sea turtle and not my surroundings. Another example would be if you are taking like a DSLR camera, those big rigs with the lights and everything, and you're fiddling around with it, you might not notice, but you might be starting to ascend and not realize that you are, unless your buoyancy is on point. But I'm not there yet. So I would probably start ascending and not realizing it, but I'd feel it in my ears. And then I'd have to go back down. An example like that is just to be aware of what's going on around you. If you have to fiddle with a camera or you have to do something, you always want to maintain that awareness. The second thing being overconfidence. An example of this would be skipping a buddy check, or if you and your dive buddy have been on this site 100 times and you decide not to bring a cutting tool or two. If you were just on the wreck last month and, oh, there's nothing there, we're fine. And then you get down there and there's a fishing net stuck to the wreck and you need a cutting tool, what are you going to do in that situation? So you don't want to be overconfident because literally anything can happen in the water. Or even just having that mindset of, oh, this will be an easy dive, and not taking the proper precautions that you normally would on a more complex dive. You always want to be safe and you always want to take those necessary steps. Another common mistake would be ignoring early signs. Say, for example, you're down 60 feet and you notice that your regulator, it's a little harder to breathe than normal than the past 10 minutes that you've been down there. And if you ignore this, it could spiral into something really bad where your regulator doesn't work anymore or it fails. But again, this is something you want to prevent, and you want to always make sure that you don't ignore any signs. A mindful diver would be like, hey, I'm noticing, you can't talk underwater, but you can tell your buddy, something's off, and you can point to the regulator and end the dive if that's the case. Because again, it is your life underwater and you don't want to die. Even if it might be something very little, you don't know that when you're 60 feet underwater. If you're underwater and you notice that it's harder to breathe from your regulator, even just a little bit, it could be something very minor and you could finish the dive with no problems. Or it could be a major issue and 5 minutes into the dive after you notice it, because you ignored it, now it's not working and now you can't breathe. So you never want to ignore those early signs. So basically, mindfulness pulls us back. It widens our perspective, it keeps us humble, and it tunes us into the little subtle changes before they become big problems. So how can we improve situational awareness and mindfulness? First thing we can do is start doing these things before the dive, before you even get into the water. And that is to take a few slow, long, deep breaths when you're on the boat. Notice your body, notice your thoughts, notice your feelings about the dive, let any distractions go. When you're underwater, you can use a scanning method where you cycle through your awareness. So you can check in with yourself, which is self-awareness, check in with your buddy awareness, monitor your equipment awareness, and scan your environment. Make sure you're looking out for any marine life or anything that can be a danger or hazard. But you want to do these things intentionally. You can practice mindful breathing, in slowly, out slowly. Doing this alone can reset your awareness, even underwater. It can also conserve air, and it can help you feel calmer if you're anxious at all. But just to let you guys know, if you are feeling anxious at all and you don't think you can continue the dive, do not feel obligated to keep going. If you think you want to call the dive, call the dive. You're better safe than sorry. You can call a dive for any reason. And then the last thing you can do to help improve situational awareness and mindfulness is do a body check. Notice any tension in your shoulders or in your jaw and try to relax them. Being mindful will help you stay more efficient and comfortable underwater. So now it's scenario time. So imagine these two scenarios. A diver who was so focused on taking photos and videos and they didn't know that their buddy was drifting away. Their breathing had also picked up because of the current, but they never connected the dots. Now, a mindful diver in the same situation would have noticed their breathing got heavier, they would pause to check their gauge, realize their air was dropping faster, and they would look around and notice that their buddy was farther away. That chain of situational awareness, which was strengthened by mindfulness, could help prevent a stressful and dangerous situation. Situational awareness isn't just a safety skill. When it's paired with mindfulness, it makes the dive a lot more enjoyable. You notice more, you feel calmer, you're more in tune with yourself, your buddy, and the underwater world. This is also something you can do when you're not diving, just in everyday life too. If you found this helpful, please like, comment, and share. Also, if you experienced a situation where you had heightened awareness or you were aware where it led you from danger, I'd love to hear about that too. Until next time, dive safe, dive smart, dive mindfully.